for conflicts of interest, with the Clinton Foundation doing all the work it was doing, and then Mr. Clinton's conflicts of interest, Mrs. Clinton promised she would stay out of Clinton Foundation business, and that Mr. Clinton's conflicts of interest would be, if he did speeches, if he did other work on the side that would impact State Department business, he would run it by the State Department for an ethics check. So, almost immediately, Mrs. Clinton started violating that agreement, because it was that agreement that allowed the Senate to vote her in and confirm her, and frankly, she wouldn't have been nominated by President Obama unless she kept her promises on these ethics issues. So these new documents show that, first of all, there are new Clinton emails. So she promised, and she testified under oath quite explicitly, at least to the House, and she told us under oath, as far as she knew, under penalty of perjury, all of her emails have been turned over. So according to this latest batch, our investigators went through, and they found 6 new Clinton email exchanges that were not previously turned over to the State Department by Hillary Clinton. So that brings the total to about 439 additional emails that Judicial Watch found, not Congress, not anyone else, but Judicial Watch found that Hillary Clinton hadn't turned over to the State Department as she promised. And again, these are government emails she had no business taking. You may recall that when she left the State Department, she took all her emails with her and deleted half of them, saying the ones that she deleted were personal. Well, that wasn't the case, because now we have at least 439 emails that she hadn't turned over that were not personal and that were government. How do we know they're government? Because the government turned them over to us, and we wouldn't have gotten to them unless there were government records. So those emails are out there, and there's one interesting email where one of the emails is that Hillary Clinton says, I'm going on memory here, I think she says, I heard it on the radio that there's a cabinet meeting, can I go? Which is kind of funny that she's asking that, and the feedback from, I think it was Abedin, said, well, it was a select group and you weren't necessarily invited, don't take anything personal as a result. But those are the sorts of information about a cabinet meeting and her response, the response of her aide to her attending a cabinet meeting. That was not a government record? Of course it is, and that's why we got it. But she hadn't turned that over as she was required to under the law initially. So there are other documents that show that, again, Doug Band, who was a Clinton Foundation official, was pushing personnel efforts at the State Department. Okay, now remember, Mrs. Clinton said that it had nothing to do with the State Department, the Clinton Foundation and such. But Huma Abedin, who worked at the Clinton Foundation before she came in, and then for a period of time she was actually working at the Clinton Foundation while she was at the State Department, if I recall correctly. Cheryl Mills, who was also a Clinton Foundation crony, were talking with Doug Band about ambassadorships. So the Clinton Foundation was involved in personnel decisions related to ambassadors. And I think at one point Mills says, I was just trying to do this beneath the radar. So again, showing that when it came to ethics, Mrs. Clinton and her team violated the rules that they promised they would follow in order for her to become Secretary of State. There's another issue where Doug Band, again, this Clinton Foundation top executive, I mean, he was the #1 official other than the President and the First Lady, or Mrs. Clinton, and arguably their daughter, Chelsea, at the foundation. And he tells that Abedin that Clinton needs to show some love to Andrew Liveris, who was the CEO of Dow Chemical. Band also asked for Liveris to be introduced to Hillary and have her, quote, mention both me and WJC, William Jefferson Clinton. So they were trying to take care of this big Clinton donor. Dow gave money to the foundation and the Clinton Global Initiative. It was, the numbers were only $1 to $5 million. So this was a small donor, I guess. Also, in the same email, Band pushed for Clinton to do a favor for a foreign national named Karl-Heinz Kogel, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who's a major Clinton Foundation contributor. I looked him up. He's based in Germany, and he wanted Hillary Clinton to give a speech for them. Again, it shows that Band is advocating on behalf of donors, and he's getting Abedin to respond. I'm not sure if the speech was ever made, but the point being that if you were a foundation donor, you had it in with the Clinton State Department. To be clear, if you were a Clinton donor, you had it in with the Clinton State Department. You could get the attention of the top officials at the State Department through the Clinton Foundation. There were ambassador appointments that were talked about as a result of being affiliated with the Clinton Foundation, it looks like. So that's pretty darn serious. Also, her brother, as I said, Tony Rodham, got involved as well in taking care of Clinton donors. He conveyed a letter for Hillary Clinton for a Clinton donor named Richard Park, and Park had donated $100,000 to the Clinton campaign back in '93, and he's in the $100,000 to $250,000 donor range to the Clinton Foundation. And later, he was trying to get Bill Clinton to come to North Korea to speak, working again with Tony Rodham. And the email that comes out that we're showing, that we're pushing out today, shows that Rodham sent a letter to Park on behalf of, Rodham conveyed a letter from Park to Abedin to give to Mrs. Clinton. So again, if you're a Clinton donor and you know the right people, you can get the attention of Huma Abedin and Hillary Clinton. And it's so bad that this guy, Richard Park, was somehow tied to the North Koreans. So I think it's a double interest given the current crisis we're facing with the Korean issue. Also, we've got information about another Clinton donor who had regularly appeared in prior emails as seeking favors, emailing Abedin to get help in getting an Iranian woman a visa to come to the United States. So, there may have been a fine humanitarian reason for doing it, but again, this is the sort of donor care and feeding that took place at the State Department. And it looks like they did do that work. And we had previously highlighted how back in May, in a release back in May, that Band attempted to help, Doug Band, the Clinton Foundation guy, attempted to help a concert promoter with the processing of a visa. So you got the attention. You gave money to Clinton, you got the attention. If you gave money to Clinton Inc., as I call it, you got the attention. Also, let's see what else is here. Oh, now Huma Abedin's mother, quite a controversial figure. She's been tied to the Muslim Brotherhood, and she's an Islamist activist. I mean, that's the most charitable way of putting it. So there's this organization known as the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which it's an international organization composed of states that are Islamist. And they're not our friends, in my view. I mean, they want to outlaw criticism of Islam, this Sharia, creeping Sharia attitude they have, and it's the sort of thing that we need to be resisting. So under the Obama administration, they worked hand in glove with them on the Benghazi video, we know, thanks to our prior disclosures. And we even have an envoy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So Saleha Abedin, Huma's mother, who again, a foreign national, is advising the State Department on who to nominate as the envoy to the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. That's going to be controversial. I tell you, that's going to be controversial once that gets out there. National security violations on these emails as well. So there's another email from our ambassador to Kenya. He sent Abedin an email talking about a meeting he had with Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, ironically, who said who was eager to meet the president. And so that email he sent about Gaddafi, the State Department gave us the email. Guess what? They classified parts of it. So this is on Abedin's email system, the official system, but she forwarded that material to her personal account. Another instance of classified material on Hillary Clinton's email server. And there are other instances of very sensitive information being sent to the Clinton Foundation about Mrs. Clinton's travel schedule and where she's going to be and when. And that's just despite, I don't like Mrs. Clinton in terms of her ethics and such, but the risk she played with her life and people's lives by allowing the system to be run the way it was really egregious. because her schedules were out there, the schedules of other government officials were put out there on this unsecure server, and you don't want the bad guys to know where you are at a specific time. That's why these schedules typically are private and secure. Yet all of this was put out there, and it was all on these email, it was all on this unsecure system, plus it was being sent to the Clinton Foundation, who had no business knowing any of it in large measure. So a lot here, and I've only touched it's only the tip of the iceberg. But I don't know how much more evidence of pay-for-play, classified information mishandling, and influence peddling documented on this Clinton email server you're going to need in order to finally have a serious criminal investigation of what went on at with the Clinton email issue and the kind of cover-up that the use of the email was designed to promote by keeping it away from the American people. This is what they were covering up, folks. Pay to play, breaking the rules, taking care of donors, having the foundation have a hand in appointing ambassadors, having Huma Abedin's mother, who had no business being anywhere near the State Department, practically speaking, giving her ties to radical Islamists, advising us on who to appoint to a sensitive organization such as the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Really outrageous stuff. So that brings us to now we're all supposed to forget about these scandals and only talk about the Russia scandal, supposedly that is embroiling President Trump. So the news this week is. Hi everyone, I'm Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch President, here with our weekly live update